Boom! What's up, everybody? Welcome, the Luisa Blanco. I'm excited about our conversation because I know people don't know that we've had some behind the scenes conversations, if you will, over the last like
For
month or
sure.
two. And I think that they're super valuable for everybody. And so, as you know, it's like we ended the conversation because we wanted to record it. We want to get it on camera. So, welcome. I'm excited. But before we get going, as always, wild or funny story. What you got for everybody?
So I wouldn't say it's wild, maybe a little bit funny. I'm just a very forgetful person. So I'm traveling right now. And when I travel, I like to do a workout class to kind of keep me occupied. So this
Yeah.
morning, I did my workout class, kicked my butt, wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. So I did. And I got in my car. I was like, wow, I'm really thirsty. Left my water bottle. And it's not like some regular old water bottle, like it's a huge jug.
A
Like
canteen.
it's not something that you forget. Like there's a huge handle on it. And it's actually not mine, it's my boyfriend's. And I just so happened to have lost the one he gave me. So I really couldn't lose this one. So I go back to the place. It's like a 5 minute drive back. I'm like, it's fine. And there's a class that already started. So I'm like, okay, so this is really
Mm.
awkward. And I'm walking in with my sunglasses. I'm like, I'm not gonna be pretentious. I'm walking with my sunglasses in the middle of the class. So I put my sunglasses on the kind of like welcome counter desk thing. I grab my water bottle, and then I'm driving back home, and
No.
sun is blaring in my eyes. And the tale of the story is my sunglasses are still at the studio, and I have yet to pick them up. So that tells you anything about me. Hi,
Oh
everyone.
my goodness.
That is what
Welcome.
happened
Wait,
today.
have you always been like that? Were you like that in college too?
No, I forgot my grips at a meet one time and I had to use my teammates as the scariest moment of my life. And then I forgot um, I meet to practice. I just had, safe to say it wasn't a good couple days for me. But ever since then, it was like I'm not gonna be forgetful of anything. And I think it's just recently. There's something about specifically water bottles, but yeah,
That's
I don't
crazy.
know
That's
why I can't
crazy.
seem to get them in my mind.
Oh man, that's funny. That's actually, I would not have pegged you as like I don't know, are you more like logical or like an emotional thinker?
I'd say emotional for sure.
Yeah.
I've always just kind of with my heart. I don't know, I'm a little bit
Yeah.
slow sometimes too.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, that's a
How
good
about you?
segue into I guess, we were talking the other day, just shooting the shit, if you will, just about life, career, and what's happening, what you're trying to accomplish, now like post athletics. And, the conversations got started in essence of, you working to like build the career and the things that like you want to do now, like after your post athletic career and what the concept of like asking for help got brought up. And so it's
Mhm.
been kind of of recently it's been conversations, especially specifically with there's some player development people that I've had on the podcast and helping athletes transition, right? Like getting them ready while they're in the college to like transition after sports. And that's been a common theme. I think a lot of athletes like struggle with, especially like high achievers. So I'm curious, like in your brain, why is it so difficult to ask for help?
I feel it's difficult to ask for help because I always just found a way, it was
Mm.
never giving up and I would try to do it on my own and it worked and it got me to where I am.
Right.
That being said though, I wasn't truly alone. That's like what I told myself in my brain, but I had a great support system. I had my family, I had my friends, even though my upbringing was a little bit rough and rough on the edges at Woga. It made me who I am, and I was never truly alone. Um, but that's what I told myself. in my brain for the longest, that I could get through it on my own, that I didn't need help. And so I felt the same way coming out of college, especially because you do immediately lose that um, physical support system of not seeing your
Right.
teammates every day, not having to be somewhere, not having that structure. So then you kind of start to question everything. And I'm like, I can't stop being stubborn. Like, that's not going to get me anywhere.
Right.
It's
Right.
not gonna, nobody's gonna come and high five me because I did it by myself, you know?
Yeah.
So once I
So
got out of that headspace,
I wondered because it sounds like for so long is one of the things that I talk about with a lot of people are like stories, right? And it's uncovering the stories that you've told yourself for so long that they've just become kind of part of your identity, part of who you are. And it sounds like, for so long as maybe your entire athletic career, the story was like, well, I can just figure this out on my own, right? Like I can do this on my own, which probably wasn't true, but like in your brain, it was like
yeah.
true. So what would have been go back to like being because obviously like having the success that you had like as an athlete there was probably some other stories that you had to like uncover and potentially like let go of and it could be when you were much younger or it can be in your college career but what would have been some of those stories that you had to or beliefs or labels right that you gave yourself that you kind of had to do away with in order to achieve the success that you've had.
I mean, absolutely. There's so many different labels that one, I think the world does kind of place on me, just naturally, societally, like there are certain things about who I am, that kind of start to form your identity and
Yeah.
become barriers in your life. So, I mean, one that I always just grew up with was kind of being the only brown kid in the room. And not it necessarily being a bad thing, but me always wondering why. Like I was
Right.
always different. And then, and I'm super open about this now, but
Yeah.
my parents, they worked at the gym. Like nobody else's parents worked at the gym and they cleaned the gym.
Oh.
Like they weren't coaches, they were behind the scenes. So when everybody's day was done, sometimes I'd have to stay back and like vacuum the same carpets that we would use, you know? And there were just a lot of things that by default did make me different and
Yep.
place barriers in my life that were, I think I made them harder in my own brain because I never really talked about it. Like I was so embarrassed
Yeah.
as a child. Now I'm so open about it because it's hard. My parents are going through life. Everyone's parents are going through life for the first time, just like we are. But when you're as a kid, like you don't think of that. You're just like, my parents know it all. And they were just trying to give me the best future. And if
Yeah.
that meant cleaning the gym and scrubbing the floors and vacuuming the carpets, like that's what they did for me. And I couldn't be any more proud. But as a kid, that perspective, you can't really conceptualize what it means to, have a better future for your kids. So yeah, it was just a lot of knowing that I was different and knowing that I don't get a lot of chances in life. So I have to make the most of it. And that gymnastics was going to be my vehicle
Hmm.
into a successful career, into a successful life, because it wasn't, not that anything is handed in life, but there are certainly easier routes. Some people have some easier routes, and unfortunately, I had
Totally.
a lot of potholes and my navigation wasn't working. So I'd have to reroute. And I eventually, I'm still on the road, but I did make it to very like monumental destinations in my life. But yeah, there were a couple things growing up where I had to kind of get the idea out of my head that because I was different didn't mean I didn't belong in the room. So that was always a narrative that was in my head that didn't just carry me in gymnastics, but it was in the classroom. Um, it was in the gym, obviously.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just something hard to break because systemically it's in your brain for so long and it's in your face, quite literally. And then I choose Alabama out of all these schools to go to. So I think something beautiful about my story is just I used to always really be embarrassed or ashamed or not really know how to express and be my authentic self. And I did that so easily in college. Um, despite going, to a predominantly white school and some place where people told me, why are you going to Alabama? Like, you shouldn't be going there. I'm like, who are you to tell me where I
Yeah.
should go?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
wild.
I would say that's the biggest one was just sometimes telling myself or other people telling me I didn't belong in the room because I was different. And then me being like, well, I'm in the room. So what are you going to do about
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because I was literally having the conversation with somebody the other day is it's amazing, especially I think that like those college years, like 18, 19, 20, 21 are because that's when you're really like for a lot of people, that's the first time they're really kind of on their own, right? Like you can't like turn in the kitchen and ask mom and dad for like advice or a favor. I mean, yeah, you can call them, but it's just different, like not physically having them present. And so I think it's interesting how caught up we get in the labels that other people give us. And it doesn't even have to be anything super drastic. It can be, if you're a super outgoing and energetic person and you show up on campus and you're homesick, right? And you feel uncomfortable. And so you're quiet and you keep to yourself. And then everyone labels you as like shy and timid. And people
Mhm.
start to take on that identity because that's who they assume that you want me to be. And so because I think that's who you want me to be, that's who I'll present to you so
Yeah.
that you'll like me or fit in. And so it's very interesting just the power that we don't even have to like these people, right? Like that's the scary part is we hear something, loud enough and long enough, we just adopt it as a kind of part of our identity. And so, yeah, I just find it
Mhm.
fascinating how much other people's labels play a role in our lives at that age because we are so, for lack of better terms, vulnerable, if you will.
Yeah. And I also think like with gymnastics especially, it's a sport surrounded by the pursuit and chase of perfection. And you're
Right.
going to listen to the people who know best and who know how to get you there. So, not that our brains are rewired a different way, it's just they're manipulated for long enough to that's how they work even into our adult life. Like I wish somebody gave me a handbook or gave me corrections as I'm doing the things I'm doing, but there's just not that anymore. And that's not normal. To always be correcting and always be fixing and always trying to do it the right way. Because in reality, there's no right way to do something, especially when you're in the pursuit of your own career.
Yeah, totally. What would be some of it's funny going back to you mentioned as like beliefs and stories, some of the ones that are placed on
Mhm.
us are from a societal standpoint is that's like to me that is like if I had an enemy, like honestly, society would probably be like my enemy because I feel like there's so many things that are hardwired out there to, I'll tell you a big one that I have conversations with. And my question will be is what as you ventured off more on your own, you get to college, kind of now you're post college of recognizing some of what of those societal lies are. For me is I think a big one is, and it took me till I was 32, 33 to like completely understand this. But like basically society will tell you it's like, we'll never leave anyone if they're your friend if they've never done you wrong. Right. So it's like even if you outgrow them, it's like, yeah, but like they're a good person. So we tend to like suck ourselves back down to their level instead of them making a decision to either grow with us or don't grow with us. And so a lot of people are living cliche, but are living a percentage of the version of themselves that they actually should. And so I'm curious for you, what are some of those societal lies, like if you will, that like you started to uncover that allowed you to potentially break free or that you got stuck and trapped with a little bit?
Ooh, um, I think the fact that I'm first generation, so I'm the first in my family to, have the opportunity to go and get an education, go be titled, go, have a degree. Um, yeah, you'd be surprised how many people tell you that you're not going to be the one to break the cycle, or
Wow.
not
Yeah.
say it in those words, but bring you down to earth essentially and make you feel like you can't. Um, but yeah, that was a really big one is my parents weren't hugely involved. They were never like the front runners in the parents club. They never were really a part of that. Like there was the language thing and
Yeah.
so many like factors that played into that that narrative of not really trying to break or not you're not going to break the cycle. But it's one of those things that even though society's kind of throwing that at you or just your environment,
Hmm.
I had I had my faith and I had my mom. Like my mom is one of the strongest people on this earth. Like if anyone has the pleasure and the honor of meeting her, like you are blessed truly because I've never met a stronger woman to just uproot her life at such a young age, and do it so selflessly. Obviously, with the help of my father, but my mom was just so strong, and in the sense that she didn't let those societal like roles
Yeah.
dictate her life. Like she was the breadwinner, she was mom, and she was dad. She is a go-getter, but she loves hard and she's emotional. Um, so all the things that like people were telling her she couldn't do, she did.
Yeah.
And like you go to the US and start a new life. Okay. Your kids aren't, yeah, you moved to the US, but your kids, they're not going to amount or they're not going to do anything. Like,
Right.
okay. Um, so that's why when I if I've reached success or when I've reached success at any point, like it feels good knowing that it's not just mine and it's ours.
Yeah.
And I think that's something really cool. And everybody has a different relationship with their family, but I just feel so blessed to know that I'm they're the reason I kept going. Like I remember all the days I would come home and it didn't even have to be with gym. I'm like, Mom, I'm quitting school. She's like, you're gonna drop out. Okay. Drop out when you get a good grade. And I was like, huh? Or I'd come back from the gym and I'd have a terrible day. I'd get pulled in and get yelled at. I was doing something wrong, breathing too heavy. I don't know. And
But literally.
yeah. And I'm like, Mom, I'm done. She's like, okay, quit on a good day. And I was like, that obviously is never going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, it was never, she never like raised me out of fear. Like she never pressured me into it. She was just so strong in her character and in her ways that it made me want to be like her. Um, so yeah, when the world kind of tells you you can't and you come home at the end of the day and your mom tells you you can, it's really powerful.
Well, I was going to say too, it makes a lot of sense to where going back to earlier where you talk about kind of figuring it out on your own is a buzzword a little bit, but probably where a lot of like your grittiness comes from is you came home every day and saw your mom who was extremely gritty and relentless to just, hey, I got my mind set to something and until it's like literally ripped out from underneath me, I'm just gonna figure it out. Like there is nothing
Exactly.
else.
Mhm.
Kind of type thing. Well, I laugh too because Reed, and I was talking with him yesterday, and what the example he gave he was talking about like feeling good about yourself, and he was just like, man, there's something about. He was like, I would say obviously not for like everybody, but probably for the majority. He's like, if you ever need to feel good, just pick up the phone and call your mom.
Yeah. Pick up the phone and call somebody that you love.
It's so
But
funny. It's just yeah, that's very interesting, and yeah, definitely like explains a lot in terms of a little bit. It starts to like puzzle a little bit of together of like why you want to figure it out on your own and why those things. It's like that was kind of a little bit, it seems like of your example. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, interesting. What about okay, kind of a two-part question, and this is something we've talked about a little bit, and I'm curious how this will like venture over and carry over into post athletics as well. Is You were telling me a story, essentially, like one of the big light bulb moments for you was the mentality side of sports, whether that be, like mentally or emotionally, I guess probably like intertwined a little bit potentially. What was it? I guess describe a little bit like what that light bulb was in terms of what was knocked over in your brain about like, okay, I'm having success, but I can take this to another level if I understand this side of the game, if you will, and how you're leveraging that piece of the puzzle into, I guess, your life now in terms of like the mentality side of it. Because I have a funny story, backup story after you tell this.
Okay. I guess I'll push it back to before college because I think that's really important. I was raw talent as a child, and I was super blessed to not have been injured until I think my first injury I was 14. It was a pretty
Oh, wow.
significant
Yeah.
one, but I got really lucky, and I would just do gymnastics. I would do what I was told, and I was a competitor, and I was damn good at it. But I didn't know how I was good at it. Like I just knew
Right.
that I loved the adrenaline rush and the feeling of, when that green flag goes up and I have to look at the judge and go. I loved that. But you couldn't tell me what I was thinking about. I can't really tell you a lot about my competition days before college, which is crazy
Yeah.
because I think that's what makes a great competitor, is knowing how to compete. But I never really did mental training. I just went out there and kind of like sent it
Flung
every time.
gymnastics. Yeah.
Exactly. I was a very technical gymnast, so when it came to technique and things, I would be able to like register and compute and be able to execute. But when it came to my own process, I didn't have one. And so that was fine when the season is stretched out from January to August, and you have like
Yeah.
a total of 6 or 7 or whatever, however many meets you have as an elite gymnast. And then you get to college and you get humbled quickly when you have a meet every Friday night and you have to
Right.
replicate the same process with your body hurting, with 20 credit hours of school, what have you, so many scenarios growing up and it being college. Like there's just so much to do. So just sending it was not an option anymore. And it was one of those things where I was having mental blocks and I'm like, at the ripe age of 20 years old, I'm having a mental block. Like I thought this was for kids.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but there was just a lot of things that I was encountering for the first time because I had never put thought into the mental game. I thought it was always physical, just like I always thought gymnastics was always individual. And once that shifted to more of a team first mindset, and not that I didn't love my team, but I always went with it like if I hit, like I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
But it was tunnel vision, and I didn't get the most out of my college experience until I learned how to truly be one, a better teammate, listen, be vulnerable. And that's when I started seeing a sports psych. And as embarrassing as I thought it was in the beginning, like I couldn't get down the vault runway without messing up my steps again. Like I didn't go for a vault. Like I think it was my senior year. Was it my senior year? I don't even know. Like so many things that you wouldn't think would happen because you've been in the sport for 15 plus years and they happen. And it's because you have to sharpen your mental game because it starts to become like this broken record essentially. So like you gotta change the disc. You've gotta, blow on it. You gotta do something.
Yeah.
So that was my version was, bringing somebody in, um, working through what my process was going to be. Most of it was just letting loose and
Yeah.
sending it, but with a purpose and like having intention. And then I would say that like my secret weapon, and everybody has their own version of it, was just finding like my own personal connection to what faith means, because I always heard that
Mm,
word, like
yeah,
we always
yeah,
prayed before competitions, and I was very respectful of it, but I didn't have faith. Um, and I think once I kind of unlocked that and started having a something where it kind of just took the pressure and know that, yeah, what I do here is cool, but like it's not me that's doing it. Like I don't know. It's way bigger than me. It kind of just takes the pressure off. And then you can go and compete freely. And even if you fall on your face, it's like, well, we'll learn from it and we'll move on because it's really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. So there's a lot of different components in that, and it's different for everybody. But for me, it was just letting people in, talking about it, figuring out my own process. Whether that was there's so many, and they would change all the time. It would be like affirmations, or it would be
yeah,
breathing, or it would be visualization sometimes, or it would just be a prayer before I did a routine so that I knew like I could be free up there. So there's just a lot of different things, but things that I'd never done ever previously, like in club or in elite, nothing. So it's really empowering when you figure those things out and then you're able to replicate success and know why it's happening.
yeah. I think the like understanding like why it's happening is I tell like a lot of the kiddos is I'm like, when's the number one time you're gonna want to come talk to me? And almost every single time they'll be like, when something bad is right, when something's wrong, right, when they're trying to figure out a
Right.
problem, a hurdle, a struggle. I'm like, honestly, the best time to come talk to me is when things are going really well. Because if you don't understand why they're going well, that's a problem, right? And I feel like
Yeah.
so many athletes get caught in that loop is all of a sudden they start having a bunch of success. And it's like, well, at some point, probably for most, there's going to be either a moment or a period of moments of doubt, uncertainty. You start to question yourself, and if you never knew why you were able to get up there, it's like you live in this like crash and burn cycle, and it can be your entire career, it can be just one season, but helping people uncover to your piggybacking off your point of like why you're having success is probably the biggest secret sauce I would give anybody.
Yeah. And it's crazy because there really is no secret sauce other than you actually having to put in the work to get to know yourself. And with the, rise and grind of every day and your own schedule and your structure, you don't actually make time for yourself. You don't take moments to just breathe. And I remember I had this stupid exercise I had to do to like, it was a mental exercise. It was like, write a love letter to yourself. And I'm like, ew, disgusting. Like, why would I do that? It's such a waste of time. And yes, I was cringing in the moment. But then you get to read that letter like a couple months or like a year down the road and see how much you've grown. Or my assistant, or I guess he's associate head coach, Justin Spring, love that guy to death. But he had us um, essentially write our speech for our senior banquet. So if somebody was gonna, get on a podium and speak about you and what your legacy is going to be, like, what would it say? And we were like,
Mm,
whoa.
yeah.
Um, But it's in those moments where you actually genuinely are speaking your intentions and what you want to be or what you want to leave. That's where you see change. Because if you're just surviving your days, like, is anything really happening? And you come to find out that it isn't. And I understand why people are like super just steadfast in their faith, and that's what allows them to see so much success. Like, I understand why that is possible now. Like a couple years ago, I'm like, I don't get it. But that's because they did the work to have their own personal connection with God, or if you are spiritual, what have you. they did their own personal work, and that's hard in itself. So, but it can be so many things like finding the right way to breathe so that you can calm your nerves. It's not an easy thing to do when you're in the moment and you're trying to stay on the beam, but also breathe, but also finish the routine in 90 seconds. And,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot of things, but yeah, that it is the secret sauce, but like everybody's got their own.
Yeah, oh yeah. For sure. I'm curious too, it's like as you started to venture down personal identity, finding yourself, self-awareness, spirituality, faith, and just that rabbit hole a little bit, was it like is your personality like from the very first meeting to whether it was sports psych or a mentor or a different coach, was it dive headfirst in, or was there a lot of hesitation of, to your point, like because I hesitation because I often see so many high level athletes get caught on the hamster wheel of defining hard work in terms of physical hard work. And I'm like, you probably don't need to run 2 extra miles. You don't need, the 100 extra push-ups. Is the hard work is on you. The hard work is the letter. The hard work is the journaling. The hard work is reading the 10-page PDF on how to breathe and practicing that. Like that is the hard work. And I feel like so many people don't recognize that. And essentially, it's like why there's the 1% and the 99%, right? Because that 1%,
Mhm.
that is how they were different. They do invest in themselves in that way. And
Yeah.
so as you began on that journey, was there a lot of hesitation, reservation of like, yo, we should be in the gym. What are we doing in here? Why are we writing letters? Like, Jesus Christ, like, come on, help us out
100%.
here.
Yeah. So I used to be that kid. Um, I I don't know if I'm going to explain this the right way, but when I would get frustrated and mad at myself, if the assignment was hit three or do five, and let's say like I hit like three decent routines, I did the five anyway, but then I would keep going. But I would do it to the point of frustration that if they weren't perfect, like if every single one wasn't perfect, I would just shut down and like be in like my woe is me and don't talk to me like kind of work mode. And I thought because I was pushing myself to the limit and grinding and getting like satisfaction in the sense that I was putting in reps, like
Right.
that was the hard work. And it's like, no, dude, like take a step back. This is what it looks like from the outside. You look frustrated. You're bringing down the energy in the room. We're saying this out of love, but it's like, I'm calling you out. And it just came to a point where that was one, unacceptable, and two, I was better than that. And so then that's where I had to kind of change my definition of hard work. And I
Mm,
wouldn't necessarily say I had hesitation. I just had never done it before. And I didn't know if it was going to work, but I was trying all the physical things to try to make it work. I was at the point where I've got nothing to lose. Like, let me just try everything. Like, let me try journaling. Let me try meditating. Let me try visualization. Let me try breathing. Let me try praying. Like it ended up just coming down to a combination of so many different things. And specific, I made it, my brain is weird, but like I made it specific to the event. So like for vault, it was so mental for me because it's 10 seconds long and I was messing up my steps and then I'm on the table and suddenly I'm not. I had to break it down so much. So that was more of like a visual and a feeling event for
hmm
me. So I would have a cap of like, I wanted to get my sick percentage up, but it was like five max. And like, I had to walk away at five. So that pushed me to when practice was over and we'd always film our practices, I'd get the film back and I would literally stop it moment by moment by moment. Okay, I got my hands turned down this way. If I put my hands up, it'll give me more time. All right, I'm opening my arms too late. Let me wait half a second before I open them and maybe it'll let me sink into my landing. Just those are ultra specific, but that's what I did on vault. But I couldn't replicate that on bars because I needed to be slow and graceful and
Mm,
swing. So those were more just like affirmations of breathe, you got this, rhythm. And then floor was like a let loose event. So I could kind of just dance and be in my element and feel it all. And beam was more of like, I had a personal connection with beam. And because out of all my like moments in my career, beam was always my favorite because it always just felt like I was the center of
yeah.
everything for like 90 seconds. And you don't get that often. So like I would always just touch base with, with my maker and I would always just pray. And it sounds silly, but like that's what allowed me to compete. And so it was different for everything. And I did a lot of things, but it was because I was tired of not seeing results from the physical work. I even read a book on tennis. Like there's so many things that I was willing to try, and that's what made me confident because the feeling of confidence is a whole bunch of BS. Like if you base like your success on feelings, like being able to replicate that is very difficult. But if you're just willing to try, then however many reps or however many times down the road that you've done said thing, you realize, oh, I'm confident because I've done it so many times, and
Yeah.
I was willing to try different things.
Yeah. Once you have the proof, I call it like stacking your deck, right? Like once you have the proof and evidence, then like it becomes like why not? Like why would I not
Exactly.
succeed? Right? Like it's like I can't even come up with a reason. It's not trying to convince yourself. It's like you literally can't come up with a reason as to like why you wouldn't have
Yeah.
success.
It's kind of just, I used to always say, what if? And then it kind of changed to why not? Like, why not go for it? That's the whole reason I went to go compete at the Olympic Games. It was like, why not end my career with a bang? Like, it was so a joke in the beginning. Like, how funny would it be if I ended my career at the Olympics? And I wasn't supposed to get this last fifth year. I graduated high school early. So essentially, my senior year would have been 2024. Just so happened
Mm.
that I wanted to accelerate the process and it became my fifth year. Like, how freaking cool would that be? And then my coaches were like, well, why don't you do it? We'll support you. And I was like, no way. Okay, let's do it. And then just one thing came after the next at that point, once I started saying, why not?
So are you pretty good at making decisions?
I think I'm definitely better now than before, but I wouldn't say like I regret any decision that I make. I don't think I don't think it's a hard thing for me to do.
Well, the reason I ask that is if I had to guess, I would have said you're good at making decisions relatively quickly, and I say relatively just in comparison probably to other people. Um, definitions matter, and so like I define. Well, actually, if you look it up from its Latin root, decide means to cut off, and so when I decide on something, I've cut off
Yeah.
all other options, and it sounds like your brain's a little bit wired in that way, in the sense of
Oh
like, oh,
yeah.
like I already decided this, like there
Yeah,
is nothing
I would say
else.
I'm definitely like that. Even when not just like making decisions, but just like relationships with friends or like people. I'm a very firm believer that like you are who you surround yourself with. And if that's not
Yep.
working, you guys outgrow each other, like no hard feelings, like see ya. Like I'm not, and this more I'm talking for like my girls out there. Like if there's a boy out there that he's not treating you right, he's not worth your time, like see ya. Like no more lingering conversations. Oh, but we can be friends. No, cut it off. Like I'm trying to make it a lighthearted conversation, but that's just kind of how I've always been. If you stay stagnant, if you stay stuck, like you're just gonna stay that way. Like something's gotta
Yeah.
change.
Yes. And like to your point is I think a lot of people stay stagnant. They stay, you know, playing on the same plane, if you will,
Yeah,
like their
makes sense.
entire lives. Um, because they struggle to. I live by like this is if I could sum like my life up into like one line, it would be you don't get what you want, you get who you are. And so to your point, you become the person, the people that you're around. And so it's constantly taking inventory of, do I love the person that I'm becoming right now? And if not, then I need to make some changes. That could be my environment, that can be, through a book, that can be, through different mentorship groups. I just think that so many people, again, you can, to me, is you can be victim or you can be creator. And I truly believe we had that is the greatest gift that we've given is the power to create, power to make decisions, the power of choice. And so it's like you can become more, but you have to be willing to decide that. You have to be willing to get out of the relationship. You have to be willing to extract yourself from those friends. And then your entire life will change. And I had this conversation with somebody the other day, and they literally looked at me because it was centered around like somebody told, they were like, yeah, my friends don't set goals. My friends don't have ambitions. My friends don't like, that's just, those are the people that I'm around. And I was like, I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but you
Right.
are trying to become a high achiever, right? You are trying to be ambitious. You're trying to do something that you've never done. And if you're hanging around people that just meander through life, for lack of better terms, is maybe you should take inventory of that so that you can personally separate yourself and become more. And a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people struggle with that.
I think it's because people care. Like, nobody just wants to walk away from something, but knowing that like time doesn't stop for anyone and this is
Yep.
your life. Like, you're one, I would say the one person you have to love so dearly because you're stuck with them for the rest of eternity is yourself. And a lot of people think for others. And it's not that you can't have that, it just can't be your entire like heart. Because then it's
Yep.
not, it's then you're living for others, and it's hard to separate the two. Um, but I just think it's because people care a lot, and I think that is a good thing. It's just learning how to care and learning how much you can give, but still have for yourself and making yourself a priority. And that's not a bad thing, making yourself a priority. It's not.
Well, I think in y'all's sport, in my experience, in y'all's sport specifically too, and this is probably definitely ventures more towards like females versus males a little bit too. But thinking in absolutes, right? It's like I'm arrogant or humble. I'm like there is a spectrum, right? Like there is a scale in that way of like I have to care or I don't care. It's selfish or selfless. I'm like, but there's a combo, right? There's a spectrum because
Right.
at the end of the day is there are a lot of decisions that you are going to make selfishly, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. It's like if you're going to get married or something like that, that's a selfish decision. This person is for me. I'm not thinking about anybody else. This is what I believe is right for me and the rest of my life or whatever the thing is. And so I think getting people to get away from everything's black and white, everything's 0 or 100, everything's, in such absolutes. I'm like there's actually the last time I was at TW is the way that I proved this is I asked a couple of the girls, I was like, so why do you come talk to me? And they're like, because I want to grow. And I was like, oh, you show up here for selfish reasons. And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I was like, no, it's okay, right? Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that it is okay. You're here to
Mhm.
grow. You're here to invest in yourself. And I'm here to pour back into you. I'm here to help you do that. That was a selfish decision. And you should pat yourself on the back for that because not everybody's willing to have those level of conversations. Not everybody's willing to invest in themselves. And so getting people, again, part of kind of the identity to step out that sometimes I do need to think for myself, and that's okay.
Yeah. Hard truth for some people. For me, it was very hard. Um, yeah.
So here's, because I wanted to go back when you were talking about like I guess kind of a two-part question as well. When you were going through like the grind, 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 hustle, 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 like phase in terms of gym, did that cause you to maybe internally potentially like beat yourself up a little bit? I know you mentioned kind of frustration because I would tie that back to, was there ever a period in your life where potentially you kind of struggled with self-love? And so that's when it became a little bit more about you. Hey, I'm going to figure this other piece of the game out so that I can love myself, so that I can find peace and joy in what I'm doing. And that will hopefully at that time, because it was just kind of a fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. Hopefully I'll find more joy, more excitement, more just being nice to yourself. I don't know how to put it. Just be nice to
Yeah,
yourself.
right. There are a lot of times, I mean, the journey before the Olympics, it's like it was 2 years essentially of really like, yeah, 2 years of nonstop and no breaks. So it was learning how to give myself grace. It wasn't, I was beating myself down to the core. I would say in those 2 years, I'd never been nicer to myself because I wasn't going to make it to the end of this if I kept beating myself down.
Yep.
I did have very hard days. Um, but I was so fortunate to have such great people around me that they didn't let me go down that rabbit hole like too
Right.
much. Um, I just remember it was the summer or 2 summers before I went to the games, and I ended up going up to Minnesota and training with Suni. She needed a partner. We'd known each other since we were little. Um, and I needed to train, and my gym was being renovated, so I didn't have anywhere to go. And I was like, I guess
Yeah.
I'll just book it to Minnesota. And I lived in Minnesota for a couple months, and um, that was like I had been transported back to my childhood of wake up, gym,
Mm.
go nap, gym, have dinner, do it all over again. Like, and it felt like my own personal hell. Like it was just,
Yeah.
that was probably one of many of like almost breaking points of you're training with the reigning Olympic all-around champion. This person also has bad days. Her bad day, I couldn't even do on my greatest of days. You know what I mean? So it was a real um battle of choosing what demons I was going to let in that day because I knew I wasn't going
Yeah.
to survive. And then I had my boyfriend tell me, I just remember being like, I hate it here. Like I can't do it.
I'm coming
I mean,
home.
If Suni doesn't think she can make the Olympics, like what am I doing? Like thinking I can't. And I mean, she had her own things. Like her story is incredible. And um, I mean, just getting to see firsthand how much her illness affected her, I was just like, wow. It
Yeah.
just was incredible to watch her work and through that. But then it gives me perspective, and I'm like, I really have it great. I have working kidneys. Like, let me stop complaining about my gymnastics. So, yeah, just a lot of moments where I just like I had the angel and the devil. And it's
Yep.
like the devil's like real loud. And it's me just being like, no, not today. We're not doing this
Yep.
today. Like,
Yep.
I am choosing to have a good day. Even if I don't believe it, even if my body feels like absolute garbage, I'm choosing to have a good day. Then it would be switching the music. It would be asking Allie to do conditioning with me. Like it would be stupid things, but it was just a choice of I'm not going to let this win or this thought win that got me through so many different phases of like getting to the point where I was going to crash out and break and just being like, no, I'm going to rise above this. No, I
Yeah.
just need to get like 1% better today. I don't have to win. I just need to get a little bit better and I will get there. Um, it's just a whole lot of that. Like my coach, Ashley Johnston, she loves this metaphor of like building a cathedral. And it's essentially where and it's all imagination. So like use your heads, but you're walking up to these three men and they're all building a cathedral. And you walk up to them and you ask them the same question, like, what are you doing? Like, oh, I'm stacking bricks. Second guy's like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm getting paid. Like, I'm just getting through the day. And then you ask the last guy, and he's like, I'm building a cathedral. That's what I'm doing. And it's it's a funny little like parable. Like it's a really short
Yep.
story, but like it puts into perspective, like, what are you doing? Are you coming in? I'm just practicing. I'm just getting it done. I'm gonna go to the Olympic Games. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be part of the reason my team makes it to a national championship. Like that's what I'm doing today. And so and it's all repetition. Like it may sound stupid in the beginning, but the more you repeat it to yourself, the more it starts to become your normal. And so it's not just, oh, I'm coming in and I'm doing my stuff. No, it's I'm coming in with a purpose. I'm coming
Yep.
in because of this. I'm coming in because my purpose is greater or his purpose is greater. Like
Yep.
so many different things that you can tell yourself, but it's just choosing the right thoughts instead of the wrong ones, even when you don't want to.
Well, and I think too, like piggybacking off the analogy is it's fascinating how many times you take a step back and ask somebody. So it makes me think of, I call it like painting the picture, right? So being able to, can you, in your imagination, if you were an artist, can you literally paint me so that I can see it, what it is that you want? And most people don't have that level of clarity. It is something very, well, I want to win. I'm like, I don't know what that means, right? There has to be some level of definition. And it's, okay, I want to be a national champion. Great. Now paint me that picture in terms of what it actually looks like. What do you see? What do you hear? What are you feeling? What are other people saying to you? What are you going to tell me what are you going to say when they interview over here? What are you going to be wearing? What are you going to, like, can you literally build that out as like a Netflix movie in your brain? Because that in my mind, that becomes very moving on the days that I don't feel like to be there versus like, well, I just want to win. It's like, well, that's not very exciting, right? Like you don't even probably know what winning looks like. And it's interesting, had a conversation not too long ago with somebody, and they were ready to walk away from the sport. They sent me a text and was like, I'm done. I was like, cool, great. Let's just have a quick conversation about this before you go into your coach's office. And fortunately, close enough with this person. And first question I asked them, I was like, well, how do you define success this year? And she was like, well, I don't know. And I was like, well, how do you run from something you don't even know what you're after? And she's like, well, I've never really thought about it that way. I was like, you're just frustrated. You're just embarrassed. And that's okay. Right. But you can't run from anything if you don't even know what the picture's supposed to look like. You can't run from anything if you don't have that deeper level of meaning of the actual like cathedral. And I just find it very, because I'm guilty of it too. Not long ago, my mentor, I was like, oh, I'm ready to work together. And she's like, let's get on a call and figure out why it is you want to work together again. So I knew she was going to ask me something along those lines, right? Of like defining success. What is it that you want? And like 2 minutes in, I'm explaining, like trying to paint this picture. And I was like, I'm just not super clear on it. And she's like, I knew you wouldn't be. That's why we're having this call. And I want to help you get really clear on what that is so I actually know how to help you. And I would encourage a lot of people piggybacking off you to be able to, do they know what the picture looks like? Do they know
Right.
what the
Can you sit
cathedral is
down
supposed
and
to look
actually
like?
write it down and put on paper what you want? Because a lot of people don't. And for me, I had this overarching goal of, I want to make it to the national championship with my team. I want to go to the Olympics and just like be the most free and happy I've ever been in my sport. Like those were my goals. And the way to get to those particular goals, it wouldn't be what you think. It's not like I gotta run and be consistent and be lifting and hit this many routines. Like, yes, that is a part of the process, but getting to there was I need to have a good practice and not just completely, because I would finish practice and be gassed out, maybe go get dinner and then go straight to my room and just like bed rot or do my schoolwork in my bed. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like getting to my goal was building my mental like fortitude and capacity and what I believed like I could take on. So it was having a good practice meant like I could have fallen on everything. But if I was still like kicking it with my girls, if I was still dancing, if I was still singing, having a good time, cheering for my teammates, like that is success. That was success in my book because that was something I
Mm,
struggled. I was always
mm,
just in my own tunnel when I
yep.
would get frustrated. So the more I was able to do that, it was a like a shift towards positivity that like allowed me to just have better practices because I was a happier person coming into the gym than I was. You add so many happy days together that when the bad ones come around, you're like, it's okay. Like there's going to be a better day and you work through it. Um, so yeah, that's a small goal. It was okay. Every Tuesday night, like I might be tired and done with the day because I just had it 8 a.m. in the morning for class. I'm gonna make it to FCA tonight, even though it's
Yeah.
at 7, and I know it's gonna be an hour that I might need to do or catch up on something. It's going to be my hour where I can see other student athletes, where we can connect, where we can have snacks, and I'm gonna feel better about it after. Boom. That's another way to get to my goal. Like that's another way to just better yourself 1%, and that will help towards your overall goal. It's like I think that's another thing too is people they think their goals have to be so big. It's like your goals don't have to be that big. They're your goals,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And like a lot of people too, I tell a lot of people, you don't, going back to what we are talking about, like you were extremely clear on like how you wanted to feel in the sense of, hey, like I need to bring more joy. I need to bring more excitement. I need to bring more connection into my life. And it wasn't just, I think a lot of people get so one track minded is like, okay, well, how do I find joy, excitement, and connection in the gym? I'm like, but it doesn't have to be like that because you're just wiring yourself to feel those things. And it's like, it can be at FCA. Great. I feel connected. I'm around other human beings that I don't see, all day, every day throughout and have different levels of conversation, which shifts my perspective, which makes me feel connected to different types of people. It's exciting to have non-gym conversations or whatever. It's to talk faith, to talk religion, to talk God, right? It's like those are the things that they're after. And so I think getting people, I would say it's like most people don't, a lot of times don't lack the ability to dream big. They lack the ability to dream clear. And in our conversation, it sounds like whether this was your entire life, but at least in those periods, is like you were pretty clear on like what it is that was going to help you achieve the things that you wanted to because you'd set yourself up. You painted the picture, right? It's like I need to do this, I need to do this, and I need to do this. And I don't
I
know, at
think
some level,
I was just painting. I didn't even know what I was painting. Like I had an idea of what I wanted, and then it's like it's all said and done. You get to look at the beautiful thing that you just created. It might be a whole bunch of scribble scrabble, but like if you like it, like it's yours, you know? And only you know what it means. I actually love art. Like that's one of my favorite things to do, like when I go travel, is like go find a random museum, like literally anywhere, and go
okay.
stare at art. And I don't do like the guided tours. I'll just like sit there and I'll be like, I wonder what all these lines mean. I wonder what this means. I wonder why they chose these colors and these shapes. Or like I love modern art because it has to do with real life and it tells a story. And I don't know. I was like, never thought I'd be an art person, but turns out I am.
That's great. Are you artistic? Like, can you paint? Can you draw?
I cannot. I think the only artistic thing I can do is just like movement, like with my body. I've always told people like, had I not been a gymnast, I would have dead on been like a ballroom dancer. Like I love it. Um, but yeah, I cannot draw. I cannot paint. I try to think if I can do anything like that. My mom and my brother can, but I did not get that gene, that
Yeah.
talent.
That's one I always say,
Mhm.
especially like music is like if I can go back, I wish like I could play an instrument. I just think that's so dope. Like
I played the
people that
flute
can
for like a year and it was
I played
terrible.
I played the recorder in fifth grade and that was about that's about all I got.
Hot cross buns.
That's it. That's all I got in the repertoire. Because it's funny, like you grow up and you hear people give like band people a hard time. Like, Loki, I'm kind of envious of them. All right, a couple more questions. One is actually two more specifically is a little bit of a buzzword, and I'll let you define it if you want to. But as you came in, obviously, like what was your kind of evolution of like leadership, specifically like when you got to like college of, hey, this is how I saw myself, this is how I entered, and this is kind of like where it ended, and maybe like the journey in between a little bit.
Right. I would say people always told me I was a leader growing up. I was very vocal as a kid. I was extremely defiant. I I've since then apologized to a lot of my coaches. And they loved me through it. Tough love, but they loved me through it. And I was
Yeah,
always a leader in that sense, but again, I didn't know what it meant. I cared a lot about people, and when I saw those people either be disrespected or belittled, I would say something.
yeah.
That's just how I was as a kid. I learned I cannot do that in the real world, and I went to college, and I kind of turtled
Mm,
myself, um, and started by example, like by example, by the work that I would do because I was fortunate enough to just jump in and make an immediate impact. And that was my role, was that clutch performer for a very long time. And I loved it. Like, oh my gosh, I wish like I could sell it, like make it in a pill bottle form, like I'd be a millionaire, you know? That feeling is just so incredible and it's euphoric. Like I love it. And that was
yeah,
me for a very long time. I'd say the first 2 years of my career, I was just leader by example. I could just hit in the best moments. But I learned that like I wasn't super close with my teammates. I was close with my class and the
yeah.
class under me, but I saw my friends like they had more stronger connections with the upperclassmen, and I was like, I want that. Like when this is all said and done, that was the beginning of me being like, I want connection. Like I want people. That's what matters when it's all said and done. Um, because then the following year, I didn't perform. Like I had the year
Mm,
of my life essentially in college, had every accolade in the book. As a sophomore in my junior year, I completely crashed out and I wasn't performing. I didn't have a process. I was in my shell. And then I was suddenly losing the one thing that made me a good teammate, which was being clutch. I was losing that. Um, and I just had a really real conversation with one of my best friends. Ella Burgess, love her so much. And she didn't have the conventional, scholarship kid like she walked onto the team so last minute and just grinded her way, wasn't naturally talented, and is just this beautiful gymnast. Um, she wouldn't even give herself enough credit for it. Like we just had very different stories up until that point.
yeah.
And she's like, Lou, you can't keep doing this. Like, nobody's gonna care if you come in with a terrible attitude. And even though you might want to get better and you close yourself off, that is not effective. That is not pushing your team together. You are putting yourself on an island, essentially. So
Hmm.
that year was like, I need to get that label off of me that I'm an individualist and that I'm not a good teammate. And they're hard truths to hear, but it's even harder for, somebody like Ella, who's my best friend, to come and tell me that. Like, it takes a lot of courage. And so that was the first time I kind of, as stupid as it sounds, like communication was had, and that's it changed everything essentially. Not overnight. I still like went up and down like waves, but I made it a point to change the way I led. And so that became changing my attitude, my body language. It became doing a lot of self work.
Yeah.
Um, and then there was a huge, like, physical kind of like, this is out of your control, because my coaching staff just like, everybody, see ya. Like, it was like
Yeah.
everyone, they were dropping like flies, like terrible choice of words, but like people were just gone. And I couldn't do anything about it. And then suddenly I was a senior. Like, I had to be the leader with for the people. Um, so it was, I had to be able to handle the hard well, even though I was still growing into what being a leader was. And I think that's when I truly became the leader, was when I was willing to handle the hard well. And that came from having hard conversation with coaches that I didn't want to make a relationship with, because I was like, I only have 1 year left with you guys. Like, why would I even care? Like, I was
Screw you
under the
guys.
impression I was going to transfer. I told him, like, I'm going to transfer. And she was like, okay. Um, and then she pulled me aside one day after I had just a tough day and was like, what do you want to leave here? And it was the same conversation I had had with Ella, but it was there was just a rawness and a realness that kind of like flipped the switch. That night, I wrote an apology letter to my entire team. And I was like, hey, before practice,
Wow.
I need everybody in the locker room and I need to talk to you guys. And it's like, I, it's so hard to do that, to be like the
Damn.
person who always, like, people would never know from the outside because I'm always performing and being clutch,
Yeah.
but like tearing the walls down and being like, I haven't let y'all in. This is why, this is what's going on in my head when you guys see X, Y, and Z. And I'm sorry for that. And I think from that moment on, that's when kind of like the vocal leadership started, was when I let people in, and then it became a conversation. And when they needed me and needed advice, like, I was there, but also when they needed to give me feedback and like, hey, Lou, what's going on here? It wasn't like me getting defensive. It was,
Right.
work through this together. Like, call me in, don't call me out. Um, and I would say that the majority of my leadership style was by example, until I kind of let everything down. And it was like, I want people, like, I want people at the end of this. And that's when I became more vocal. And that was the most rewarding part of the entire year, was just having that and like kind of seeing the fruits of that, come to light now that it's all said and done, and having my teammates still reach out to me or still tell me about what's going on. Like, it's really fulfilling, and it makes me know that, like, they made me better, and they still want me in their lives. Like, you know, after some very hard conversations. But yeah, that was a whole lot, but it was a mix of both, essentially, the answer to your question.
Yeah, no, I mean, because if I like rearrange the word leadership, I go to the end of your story. If I actually substitute the word leadership, is I would put influence in there. And so to where you're seeing now is they had an influence on you at that moment in your life, but you also had an influence on them. And so, I just firmly believe any relationship, like there has to be mutual benefit, right? Like no relationship's going to last forever if it's one-sided. And, you being vulnerable, right, for lack of better words, in that moment to share whatever you shared with them, that day in the locker room, obviously influenced them in a very
Yeah.
powerful way.
And little did
And
I
I think
know it
it,
was like a domino effect, because that started a reaction of me wanting to let my team in. Like, I was telling you about that book I read on tennis. Like, after I was a few chapters in, I'm like, guys, this tennis book, it's got like, it is. you guys need to get into this. And I would have never done that. They would have been like, Lou, what? But because
Yeah.
I was able to kind of like break my walls down, they're like, okay, let's listen what she got to say about tennis. And then they were like, whoa, that's really cool. Like, could you send me that? Or, oh, I never thought about it that way. It really worked for me. So, yeah.
Well, and it's you go back to because everyone's like comes back. It's like, well, everybody's kind of a leader at some level, which is true in the sense of if you view it as influence. And so you're always influencing people in a good or a bad way. And it was almost for a while there was an influence of like, I mean, Loki, I really don't want to be around her.
Yeah.
To where it's like now you
100%.
influence it was like you they were attracted like to you, right? It was like, oh my God, like now that I know what's going on in your brain, now I know that how you see the world of like, tell me more.
Oh, yeah. And it's, I never would have thought that's the way that college would have gone for me, or that I would have learned so much about how to work with people, and how important that is, like how essential that skill of being able to communicate with somebody is. Um, but I truly was blessed to have like I wouldn't even say it was like the perfect team, like the perfect group of people. We just decided collectively that we weren't going to give up on each other, um, and start like attacking one another because it's a group of like 20 girls on the team. Like, I don't know if you've ever, I mean,
I got two
maybe you've worked with
sisters.
so
I
many
got two
teams.
sisters too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you got to learn to coexist, and we wanted to coexist and thrive. And but it could have been coexisted and just like gone the other way, you know? Um, but yeah, I truly was so lucky in my teams.
Well, and it the last thing I'll say about that too, there's a quote out there. I think it's by Peter Drucker, and it's like he's in the business world, but I think it very much relates to like sports as well. It says culture will trump strategy every day of the week and twice on Sundays. And I just think that that's so true. It's like you can have the best strategy with recruiting the right people and the different coaching personalities and
Yeah.
all the different assignments that you're going to have. But at some point, if you have poor culture and how the connections that you guys have as a team, it's like at some point that's going to crash and burn, right? Like it's just going to come to an end. But if you have that connection and you have strong reasons why you want to show up in the gym and do it for each other, like really kind of nothing's off limits at some in some areas.
Yeah. And then we made it our whole mantra. Like we love you know how like the aligning numbers are like kind of trending right now. So we kind of just put our own spin on it, but like the 444 like was like our theme,
Uh-huh.
kind of like how TWU has cut. Ours was 444. And essentially the aligning of the numbers meant like you were protected, but it was like, yeah, we had like that version, but it really was like the first four was like for you, like, why are you doing this? You got to show up for yourself. Second four
Mm.
was for her, which is your teammate. And then for each other is kind of like the whole like family. Like we're doing it
Mm-hmm.
not just for your teammates, you're doing it for your athletic trainer, you're doing it for your family, you are doing it for the people behind the scenes that you don't even know have all this, all these roles in your life. Like you're doing it for each other. And so when we had moments where it's just like, oh, like we hate it here, or like, oh, I can't, like college, midterms, finals, like external noise, it was like, hey, 444 for the fam. Like we got this. And it was an immediate just switch. But yeah, that was so money like that.
Dude,
It
that's
just
dope. I'm not gonna
evaporated.
lie. Whoever came up with that one, that's spot on.
Yeah. But it was a whole lot of everybody. That's the thing. Like we just started off with one thing and it was never somebody brought an idea to the table and I was like, yo, that's crazy. No. It was like, okay, let's work on it. Okay, let's tweak it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, we were bringing posters in and like doing like little like team led like activities before practice would start. I mean, we played spike ball before practice, but I was never a spike ball person.
Y'all do
I
love
was
some spike ball.
just like, yeah. just finding different ways to just be bought in. And yes, it is about gymnastics, but like we were just so in sync with one another. Didn't mean we love each other all the time, because that is not the truth at all.
Yeah.
We had so much love for each other, but like the purpose was just so much bigger. But yeah, I'm getting sidetracked.
No, that's dope. Yeah, that's super cool. All right, last question.
Last
If
one.
you were in last one, I didn't prepare you this one. I semi lied and said that there was one prepared question. There's two. Um,
Okay.
so you're on the spot with this one. All right, if you were in the stadium with 100,000 people and you could only leave them with one message, what would your message be?
Um, wow. Gosh, that's a hard one.
It is.
So many things popping in my head. Um, I think it sounds, I wouldn't even say it's a cliche, but just be willing to try because it could work. I think a lot of times people are just so set on it not working
Yeah,
out, and then you fill in the blank on whatever that scenario is. You immediately go to the worst instead of going to the best, or going to something that could happen and it could change your life dramatically. I think the willingness to try is so powerful, but it's also so daunting. And people don't do it because they're afraid of looking silly, or they're afraid of messing up, or they're afraid of failing. But if you just put yourself out there, you never know until you know. And so tweak that as you will, but just stand so strong and knowing that you are willing to try. And even if it didn't work out, like you can say that you attempted. And I think that's powerful in itself. I think that's where I am right now in my life, is it's a lot of trying new things. So
yeah,
that's the one that's
totally.
to me. I feel like I would have picked something completely different had it been a couple months ago,
Yeah,
but I would just stand in knowing that the willingness to try is just as amazing as like having that success, because knowing that
totally.
you're working on something is super fulfilling.
Totally. And it makes me, I'll wrap it up. It makes me sound like I use this analogy. A lot of people, I call it ordering off the menu at a restaurant. And I think a lot of people, they're really good in life at ordering what they don't want or not talking about it or ordering what somebody else wants. And so the analogy I say is like if you ever go into a restaurant, you sit down, you look at the menu, and the waiter comes over and says, "Hey, are you ready to place your order?" And you say, "Yeah," you don't look at them and tell you all the things, you don't look at them and tell them all the things you don't want to eat on the menu. Otherwise, you show up with a table full of food of like what you don't want to eat. You order the one thing, and then under that thing is the description, going back to like painting the picture of like what it is that you actually want to look like. You don't order what, oh, I don't like onions, but you like onions, so I'm going to order onions, right? It's like then you show up with a table full of onions. And so I think just ordering off the menu and deciding on what it is that you want, and then, kind of piggybacking it, just shoot the shot, shoot the shot.
Yeah. I just think
So,
of how differently my life could have looked had I not been willing to try gymnastics, had I just stuck with soccer, had I not been willing to go visit Alabama, even though that's not where I wanted to go. Everybody was
yeah,
getting all these offers, and like I was like, you know what? I'm not getting any pull right now. I'm not being recruited, and Alabama has interest in me. Like I'm gonna be willing to have an open mind. Like I'm willing to put myself back in the elite scene, even though I hadn't been in there for like 5 years,
it's
and
true.
complete
Yeah.
for a completely different country, and have the whole world call me a Team USA dropout. Like, I'm willing to do it, you
Wait,
know?
did they really?
Oh yeah. I'm just
Oh, dang.
like there's so many crazy comments. But then me and my other fellow NCAA like Olympians, we got strength off of that in the village. Um, but yeah, I think of all the times in my life, like had I not been willing, my life would have looked so different, and all the things that are good and that I can look back on, they would have never been. So always be willing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say I'd repeat again, it just sounds like a superpower of yours is tying it to willing to try. It's like once you make the decision that you're gonna try, like low key, it kind of pans out in your favor 9 times out of 10. So I think
Exactly.
that I think a lot of people, or they dabble, right? They try, but they don't really try. They kind of like half-heartedly like go into something versus again, that's why I asked, are you good at making decisions? Because then you just kind of cut off everything else. It's like, I think about it in our conversation of like career or like where you are right now. It's like I've decided right now, it's like I want to be in
Yeah.
broadcasting. And it's like, bro, like I have known you for like a month and a half and like you're just gonna figure it out, right? Like at some point, like you're just gonna like unless you just decide you want to do something different. Um, because it just sounds that's the way it is. So cool, dude. I appreciate it. This was fun. As I always tell everybody, kind of ending is the whole purpose is to, I believe like stories are what move people, and everybody has different stories, different analogies. It can be personal stories, but it can be also to your analogy of like cathedral and stuff like that, of like, oh, like light bulb moments, like where it goes off, because I'll give you an example where this resonated with you personally, and we can say our goodbyes. Is there was a kid at TWU, and I asked them, I said, on it, did I tell you this story?
I don't know.
Like to put
Remember, I'm
gymnastics.
forgetful, so
Oh, that's true. Touche. I asked this kiddo, I was like, gymnastic success, if it was on a pie chart, just physical to mental, like how would you rate it? And she was like 90% physical, 10% mental. And I was like, interesting. And she was like, well, how would you rate it? I was like, well, how I would rate it is completely irrelevant. I was just curious how you would. So we have a team discussion later that night. And she comes up to me and she goes, okay, I'm at 50-50 now. I was like, all right, cool. All right. And then you had a conversation with them, and which was, I want to say like right shortly after I had left town too. And still, I don't even know what like you chatted about with them or her or like what it was like specifically. And she was like, I'm at 80-20 now. And so again, it's whatever you move somebody with the story to like see the world differently in terms of like how she's going to achieve success just by sharing your story. And I just think that that's like super powerful. And I think, again, it's the more people they find people that they resonate with, and then they are willing to try, they are willing to shift their perspective, they are willing to be a little more open minded. So it's just a unique story. I think it's cool. And it's like the whole purpose of the podcast. So I appreciate you, dude.
thanks, Ryan. I'm always down to do things like this. I am a yapper to my core. I mean, it's how I'm making a living right now. And yeah, I just like connecting with people. So thanks for giving me the opportunity and the invitation to just talk and talk some gymnastics because it's honestly one of the greatest things in my life. And it's crazy to think that it's over, but it just looks different now.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, you're still involved. Definitely that.
Try my best to stay relevant out here. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, until next time, everybody. Peace.